Okay, grade nines. Here is the notes for starting outcome number 4. So this is topic 7 notes. So we're entering into our next big extinction. You can see from the graph here that there's an extinction. There's another big one. Okay, over the history of the planet, the rate of extinction has been about 1 species per year. Today, we're looking at close to 70 species per day. Now, there's a couple of reasons for it. There's a lot more variety of living things on our planet today, so there's a lot more possibility for things to go extinct as well. Also, human beings have been doing some different things over the years that the planet can't seem to keep up with. Okay, so how do we know right now that biodiversity is decreasing? Well, it says the rate of making new species, the rate of speciation is lower than the extinction rate. So if you look at this chart, you can see here is a breakdown of all the organisms on the planet, and the insects and the myriapods are the biggest group. So in the next major extinction, they will probably be the ones that come out as the dominant species. These ones may go extinct because their numbers are so low. Also, some places in the world have huge biodiversity. The tropical rainforest would probably do better because the biodiversity is so high. Why is the biodiversity so high? Well, like we learned about earlier on in the unit, constant heat, light, and temperature and rainfall means that the plants, the specialists that grow there can grow well. And because there's more plants, and more variety of plants, they have more complex food chain. Therefore, they have more different sort of animals and other sorts of organisms. So we have the larger biodiversity. So 2 places we learned about with the highest biodiversity, tropical rainforest is one, oceans is the other. If you want to get the absolute highest biodiversity, I suppose it would be in the oceans around the equator, because the equator has very constant conditions because it doesn't tilt back and forth with the seasons. There are no seasons around the equator. People use organisms as bioindicators, so we can look at the living things that are living there and see whether the environment is affected or not. So sometimes, it's whether the organism is there or absent. It tells you something about the health of that ecosystem. Historically, one of the effects of human interference in ecosystems is the loss of large carnivores. So if you go to the ocean and you see the sharks have disappeared, or on land in Alberta, if the grizzly bear numbers are dropping, then that's a bioindicator that something is wrong in our ecosystem. I mean, we can also do chemical indicators as well to test for chemicals, but in this case, we are talking about bioindicators. Wolves as well. The wolves, our population is starting to drop off in Alberta. That indicates some sort of environmental damage. Now, one of the main sources of environmental damage is human activity. And, it's gotten worse in the last 100 years because the human population has grown so much in the last 100 years. Why have we grown so much? Well, we have new methods of farming. We can use artificial selection to grow greater crops. We can do bioengineering as well to make crops easier to grow, and that means we can make more food. If we have more food, there'll be more people. Also, we have better ways of preventing and treating disease. In the past, we didn't used to wash our hands before operations or before helping someone give birth. So there was a high mortality rate back then. That one thing, learning to wash our hands, meant more people survived. And then, of course, we invented antibiotics and other ways of dealing with other medicines of dealing with disease, so it allows people to survive more. So that means the population has grown very quickly in the last 100 years. And that means that there's more people and they need more things. We need more land, we need more wood, we need more food, we need to mine the earth, we need more fossil fuels. All of these things contribute to damage to the ecosystems, right? We're taking up more space, we're diverting water away from where it normally flows. And as developing nations clear cut land for farms, precious land is lost. So remember, in the tropical rainforest, if you chop down one tree, you're losing about 60 unique species to that tree. So, they need to eat too, though. So they set up a farm, and, the land in the tropical rainforest is in a nice, beautiful balance. But if you chop down the trees and use those for fuel, the nutrients don't recycle, and it only takes about 3 or 4 years before that land turns into desert. Like the land in the tropical rainforest is very poor soil. However, there's a wonderful balance between moisture, high temperature, and decomposition that allows it to sustain what is there. Once you do that and you clear out that area, the organisms are not going to be able to come back. That damage is permanent. And then let's have a look at some few human activities and extinction. So people have not always been as aware as their impact on society as they are today. So like 10,000 years ago, the woolly mammoth, people had this idea, the ice age took them. No, we hunted every single woolly mammoth to death. There are none left. We used everything though. We used the tusks and we ate the meat and we used the bones to make tools. We used the hides, but really, they're all gone. In the early 1900s, there used to be about 2 passenger pigeons for every person on the planet. Here's the passenger pigeon. 2 for every person on the planet. That's a lot of passenger pigeons. We killed them all. We didn't hunt them to eat them. We used them as target practice. You've heard of clay pigeons? Well, we have clay pigeons because we ran out of passenger pigeons. So people would be sitting in a field hunting something else. They'd see a passenger pigeon fly by. They would shoot it just for practice. The dodo bird, one of the more interesting ones. So dodo bird lived on this one island, and so they had no mechanism for defense because there's none needed. They were the top organism on that island, and so some sailors came to the island, and they came off and they saw these dodo birds, and the dodo birds were very inquisitive. So the dodo birds ran right up to the sailors, and the sailors then killed the birds, and they actually killed all of them, and left the island. Now they ate them, and in their notes it does indicate while the dodo bird does not taste particularly good, it was better than eating fish again. That's why the dodo bird is gone. Today, people are concerned with overfishing, overhunting. We're starting to worry about land use. We're starting to worry about how water is being diverted. We're starting to worry about global warming. We're starting to worry we need to worry about plastics. Okay, we need to reduce pollution. We need to protect large areas of land as well. There's so many things we could do, even as on an everyday. Instead of bringing a water bottle to school, you can buy a reusable container, and then you're not producing all those plastics. And some of those plastics get recycled, fair enough. And Alberta is trying to become the plastics recycling center of Canada. But then just today, they also talked about they're getting rid of single-use plastics. So I don't know if that's going to go federal and provincial, if that's going to work out very well. We also need to be concerned about so if an organism is endangered, their numbers are so low they could go extinct. If they're extinct, that means there's none left on the planet anywhere. Here's a new term for you, though. If they're extirpated means locally extinct at a certain time. You have to have the time and local because, for example, in the year 2000, grizzly bears were extirpated in Alberta. However, they were found other places, and then eventually whatever damage was making them move away has been fixed because they are starting to move back into Alberta again. So we can't say they're extirpated today, but they were back in the day. There was a time when they had left and there was none left here at all. And that is the end of topic 7 notes. Okay, and there's an assignment, page 72, numbers 1 to 4. If you're following along, you have a unit test coming up in about 3 or 4 days that you need to make sure you're prepared for.